Welcome and thank you for joining me. This is Laurie of Laurie's Heirloom Sewing. I am in Western Washington today where it is raining. I don't know why I said that. I mean, I've lived in Western Washington for 20 years. But anyway, so we're going to kind of clarify the entire issue surrounding the pattern McCall's number M4798. It's not really a simple pattern, and I would not recommend this for someone who hasn't read through and actually worked through a pattern before. You may want to go ahead and try it, and I'm certainly not going to discourage you, but I don't think I would spend a lot of money on fabric. If you could go to like Goodwill or another thrift store and kind of do a mock-up. You might find that you absolutely get this, that's not an issue, but you might also find that it's a little bit more confusing than the average pattern, and that is why I'm kind of trying to do this. I do almost always do a drawing like this, which for some reason, I put that video up yesterday and I realized later after watching it that, oh my gosh, what a confusing bunch of gibberish that was. So I'm going to try to clarify. I have a key right here with kind of a general description of my fabric. I've sketched the pattern, left side, right side, and the back. You could actually just do, if you're not really into sketching, you could just do a rectangle and then divide it into the pieces, one side for the sleeve, etc., etc., etc. So you don't have to be able to draw a jacket. I certainly didn't really do a very good job, but this is just for me. And then on the key, I have, number 1 is my horseshoe print fabric, number 2 is the yellow print, 3 is tossed horses, and 4 is sunflowers and bees. And then I've marked out where I think, when I was doing this, where I kind of think I want those fabrics to go. And then on the next page, the other side, the left side, is the tote. That's why I've got that there, which I haven't started on yet. I have a section that I drew lines on to make notes. So, for example, piece number 1 in the pattern, right here, has been cut from fabric number 1, which is the horseshoe fabric. So, I'm going to make these notes as I go, so that I don't get confused, because there are 14 pieces to the jacket, and that does not include the appliques. This is just construction pieces and not the decorative pieces. And I've already run into one confusing aspect that we will talk about when I get to that point. But I recommend that you be very careful cutting out sleeves. That's all I'm going to say at this particular point in the video. So here we go. I'm watching it rain and not be sunny, but there's blue sky and it's just raining. And then there's blue sky and then it's raining. And it has not stopped. It's like this. We had snow, and then we had more snow, and then we had a lot more snow, and then it quit snowing, and then finally the snow all melted and the rain came in. So I don't know, I'm sorry I'm discussing weather with you guys. I'm just so tired of it. I'm ready, so ready for spring. Okay, so now piece number, let's see, on the jacket, this is the upper left front of the jacket. And if this is the left, see this neck is going this way, that means that I would need to cut my pattern out on this side, on the wrong side. So that's something else that I've got to keep straight. Some you are going to cut with the fabric, with the pattern piece face up, and some you are going to cut with the pattern piece face down. So for example, this one, upper right front jacket, is correct. If I hold this up to my body, I'm holding it on the right side and it is correctly positioned. Upper left front jacket, oh, actually is still correctly positioned. I'm just losing my mind. Oh. Okay, so that is fabric number 3, which is the tossed horses. And every single one of these, with the exception of a couple of them, you are only going to be cutting out one piece of fabric, not two, like you would normally do. You're only cutting out one. So you have a single fold of fabric, not even a fold actually, just a single layer of fabric. Making sure, of course, that your grain line is going in the proper direction, which I will try to get you over here where you can see what I'm doing. I want to mention that my birthday is coming up, and I asked for video editing software for my birthday, and I'm so hoping that that's what I will receive so that I can create better videos. Okay, so I have one piece of fabric here. These horses are tossed in a random array. Some are facing up, some are facing down, some are facing left, some are facing right. So it doesn't matter how I place this pattern piece on this fabric unless I absolutely have to have a certain grouping of horses, and then that would be called fussy cutting, and to a certain extent, and I'm not doing that. I just kind of want this random little collection of horses. I don't need to pin it because I have a multitude of fabrics already cut out, and they're kind of holding the pattern piece in place. And I'm going to do a little bit of extra trimming. I had some underlining fabric showing there. And if anybody has ever wondered why fabric has that little colorway on the selvage edge of a piece of fabric, that is to show you what colors were used to create this piece of fabric. So if you cut this and take it with you when you go shopping in the event you needed a button or a thread or a zipper or a different piece of fabric or something to match up, you have your little colorway and you don't have to take a piece of your fabric unless you just want to. But a lot of people will save their selvages for that reason. Okay. And of course they would also save the name, which is Running Free by Kathleen Hill. And this is for Studio E Fabrics. And I purchased this on Amazon about a month ago. So, I mean, I don't know if it's still available, if they still have yardage, if they wanted, you know, to replenish, or how that works. I don't even know. But I have been linking it in each one of these videos. I've been linking it below for you to know where I've gotten all the supplies. Okay, so now I've cut out piece number 5 out of Tossed Horses. So I'm going to flip over my page and I'm going to write down piece 5, and that number, tossed horses on my key, is number 3. So piece 5 equals 3. So now I know. Okay, that's what I've done there. And I will pick up another piece, match it to my drawing. So piece number 12 is the lower right back of the jacket. Okay, piece number 12, lower right back of the jacket. So that is a sleeve. Oh, so this one you do cut, nope, you cut it up, you cut it face up. So this is the sleeve area, and this is where it meets up with the yoke of the jacket. So here's the yoke area for the top part of the jacket, and this is a sleeve side opening, and this is the bottom edge. So knowing that, I need to stick this pin back in. I apologize for the bandage. My puppy scratched me last night while we were playing. So the lower right is piece number, or fabric number 4, and fabric number 4 is our sunflowers and honeybees. Okay. And again, you need to make sure how you're cutting 1, you're cutting 2, whatever, however you're supposed to be cutting, and that your grain line is in the proper place. You're placing your fabric in the proper place, and if you have directional fabric, that you've got it going in the proper direction, and if there is a design element that you want, is it correctly lined up with your fabric? Now, the other thing I failed to mention, and another thing that makes this pattern a little bit more advanced, that's right, my grain line is going this way, but my pattern piece is going to be a little canted. So it's going to look like it's not straight, but this needs to be straight up and down on the straight grain of the fabric, or it won't lay correctly on the body. Okay, ouch. Oh, I hate stabbing myself. Oh, hang on while I deal with a wound. Oh, I can't stand that. Wow. Oh, it's just going to go crazy on me. I'll be right back. I don't know how to pause my videos yet. Hold on. Okay, I have returned with my battle scars. Okay, I think I'm, all right. What I was going to say before that ridiculous injury occurred, you don't want to, sometimes it's tempting to leave a selvage edge because it's a finished edge, and you're like, well, I could put that on the inside and it'd be great. It's a finished edge. The problem with this particular pattern is, while that might work sometimes, all of the edges on this, all of these edges are supposed to show and are supposed to be chenilled. It's a chenilled jacket. And what that means is we want it to fray and kind of come apart and get fuzzy. So if we have this, that won't happen. Therefore, we have to cut our fabric. We want it to frazzle and razzle and fray and get all kind of messed up. Okay, so we're going to cut, make sure that's straight. Sometimes it can be a little hard to tell. There, I think that's a little bit better. Yeah. And you can line it up on the edge of something, a ruler or something, to make sure that your fabric, your pattern is straight on your fabric. Okay, there we go. All right. And now I will cut this out. And that's the other thing I was going to talk about. The seams that are exposed and have open edges of fabric for the chenille effect. Your seam allowances are, well, let's just look it up real quick. Okay, it's a 5/8 inch seam allowance unless otherwise indicated. But it's not printed on the tissue of the fabric. So when you're cutting out, keep in mind that you are cutting out a bigger thing. The seam allowance would be inside of what you're cutting, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So no matter how big you cut your pattern piece, you're still going to be in by 5/8 inch of a, 5/8 of an inch, which could have, a major effect on your finished project. So definitely keep that in mind. Okay. Alright. In case you haven't noticed, I love to wear a lot of rings, but sometimes I can hang up on my scissors and make it difficult for me to put them down. Okay, so I've already marked in my notebook that piece number 12 is fabric number 3. And the next piece that I pick up is piece number 3. And I will have to look to see. Piece number 3 is the middle right front of the jacket. So the middle right front of the jacket, if I'm wearing this jacket, is over here. Piece number 3 does not have an arm. See, it gets kind of confusing. Alright, the middle right front, if I put this on my body, there really isn't a middle. Let me see when I'm looking at the instructions. This is why you've got to take your time. Alright, piece number 3. Piece number 3 is, I'm looking for it. This is all, okay. I hear frogs outside. That's so cute. All that rain. It's interesting. Oh, let's see. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, it's going to take a little bit of time to figure out what piece number 3 is. I think upper right, middle side, and middle right front. The only reason that I'm having an issue with the middle right front is okay. Oh, they're talking about the actual placement on your body. So that's number 4. And that's also out of the B's. Okay. Okay. Very interesting. It's like a puzzle, but so is most sewing. Okay, and again, we need to make sure that the grain line is aligned, and we have to cut off that selvage edge. And I'm going a little bit further because a lot of times the fabric edge can be a little bit tighter weave, and it kind of loosens up as it moves out into the spread of the fabric. And that's just from the manufacturing process of being woven. It may not be true of quilting cotton, but I used to sell Barissima and Liberty cottons in my shop in Kansas, and they had a little bit deeper from the edge of the selvage. It was tighter until a little bit further out, which, you know, for heirloom sewing that wasn't such a bad deal, but it wouldn't work for this project either, simply because we need our fabric to fray. Okay, so piece number 3 is fabric number 3, and I'll make a note of that. Okay. All right, and then I'm just going to keep going. I will have all of the pieces of fabric cut out from piece number 1 all the way to piece number 14 out of the appropriate fabrics the next time we meet up. And I hope that if you haven't already, you will like and subscribe. At some point down the line, I will have some software editing or editing software so that my videos will be a little bit better. And I do appreciate each and every one of you. I consider you my lovely dandelions. We are all very creative, free spirits, just as much as a dandelion. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you next time. Bye.